The chances are, if you grew up as a fan of Marvel, you have probably played one of the Ultimate Alliance games. Now, 1 and 2 are absolutely beloved classics, but one I don't really see a lot of people talking about is 3, so that's why I wanted to go back and play it. There's a lot of good ideas in this game that I think gets overshadowed and completely overlooked by just not being as popular as the first or second one. Now, there are good reasons that it's not as popular. One, it was released only on the Switch, and 2, it's nearly a decade after the last one, which is kind of an insult to fans who have been waiting and waiting and waiting for another Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, that it comes out and you have to own a very specific system to get it. So a lot of people who are fans of 1 and 2 just couldn't play this one without dropping $300 on a Switch. That was not a very good idea. In my opinion, I don't know how many people this got to just buy a Switch, but I had one, so I was like, you know what, I'll try it because the game just looked interesting and I was pretty let down by Avengers. So the main thing I really wanted to accomplish was finding out if this game is worth playing today and should you play it. So let's get into it. This game released in 2019, nearly a full decade after Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, and it was developed by Team Ninja, who did not do the original games, but you might not know, they did the Nioh games, which if you're a Souls fan, you have to play these games. They are some of the best Souls-likes in the entire genre that are not made by From Software, but that is just a whole other video. Now, the main thing is when this game came out, it was not universally acclaimed. There was a pretty good mixed reaction in this. Now, from what I'm seeing, a lot of people are more positive on the game than negative, and I think just a lot of the negatives come from just MCU fatigue, because a lot of this game borrows from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially the Infinity Saga timeline. It kind of felt like around this time that's what everything was doing, and so if you were already tired of that storyline, this one just did it again. The main story premise is it's centered around Thanos getting the Infinity Stones. I know, it's a crazy setup, but I do think the game at least offers more interesting narrative elements in that, at least in terms of where you go, who you meet, and who you get to play as. I think that adds a lot to the game that isn't necessarily ripped out of the MCU, and at least gives it some of an identity. Like the X-Men are here, Elsa Bloodstone's here, Moon Knight's here, you know, all these different characters that add a little bit more of an identity to this game. I mean, right off the bat, just looking at this character screen, it's pretty impressive. There are so many characters. A lot of these caught me off guard, like Moon Knight's in this game, which I know he was a DLC, but I have all the DLC, so don't come at me for being like, oh, he's not in the DLC, it's fine. But like Elsa Bloodstone, Blade, like I was expecting more just whichever characters had movies up until 2019. I thought they were the ones that were going to get put in the game, which, to be fair, a lot of them are. I think most of the ones who have movies at this point are here, but I did not think they were going to rip out Elsa Bloodstone or any of these more bottom of the barrel characters, which I think is a really cool thing, because then your team setup looks more interesting rather than just being Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and Hulk. So I really enjoyed that part of the game. And the main thing to really realize with this game is, unlike Avengers, which is more of like a third-person individual character game, this one's more you're swapping between characters. So the characters on their base attacks and movements don't really feel that different unless one can fly, or maybe Hulk's a little bit bigger. But other than that, they don't really feel that different until you get to their individual skills and their builds, which is where the game really shines once you kind of get a rhythm going and you know what team synergies you want. And the combat is just like, it's super simple fun. It is meant to be played as a couch co-op game. You can absolutely play this game by yourself and have a great time. Most of my playtime in this game was by myself, but if you have 2 or 3 friends that just want to come over and hop down on the couch, you can split the Switch controller in half and then the game will still work. And the game's just hella fun. The levels aren't anything to really cry home about. They're mostly just hallways, but you're just having such a fun time that you don't really care. And the character progression is not painfully slow. You will be leveling up these characters at a rate that isn't like, oh, this is too easy, but it's not like you're just pounding your head waiting for the next upgrade or waiting for the next meaningful skill point. And the game does offer these synergy attacks, but I never really had them happen on purpose unless I was playing with a friend. A lot of the times they just kind of happen and you're like, okay, that's cool, and you move on. But if you find ones that really work together, then you can output some major damage. And the characters, they all level up individually. There is a skill tree for your entire team, but most of your time in this game will be spent leveling up your individual characters. Now, what I recommend is if you do play this game, stick to a team that you like, at least for the main story, because there's a lot of times where you're going to get stuck on a boss. Like there was a Doctor Strange boss about midway through the game, and at that point I had been swapping characters here and there, just wanting to get a little bit of a different experience. I had to backtrack and go do some of these Infinity Trials that I passed up just to get some characters level up to where I could face him. There were a few boss fights where that happened, but it never felt like, oh, it just kind of felt like, oh, I guess I should have probably been leveling up a character more for this, but it's fine. Now, some of the real standout moments of this game are the characters and bosses you will face. Like, you're going from Ronin to the Sinister Six to Magneto to the Sentinels, all the way up to Thanos and like the Black Order, who is the name of the game. It's really cool to fight all of these diverse characters, and again, that just points out one of my big flaws with the Avengers game, is I felt like I was just doing the same repetitive actions. And in this one, the variety of enemies and content was so much better. It was so much more, it felt like a lived-in Marvel world, and I absolutely loved that. Now, one of the main complaints I did see about the game, which I can kind of agree with, is since each character does level independently, and you can see there's a lot of characters, it can feel quite grindy if you want to get each character to max level. But you don't really need to for a lot of the things. Like a lot of the things you can just get 8 or 10 characters, so you have a good wide range of people to select from, and you should be good. Now, if you end up really enjoying the game, you're not going to dislike the level grind, because it's fun if you enjoy the gameplay, which I myself found myself enjoying it quite a lot. And I do think after this video, I'll keep playing it because it's just a fun game. And I think that's a lot of the problems that people don't realize with games nowadays. Like Avengers tried to be a live service, tried to support it for years and years to come, and it just didn't work. Whereas this game, it just dropped and it was fun. And maybe that's all you really need, is just a fun game for people to want to play it. Now, one thing I would really like, and I doubt this will ever happen, I would like for this to come to PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, or maybe even PC. You know, maybe there's a licensing contract and once it goes up, it'll go out, because I do think more people should experience this game just because it's such a unique game. While it is a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, I've played 1 and 2. I really liked the diverse range of characters, and while I didn't find the story as interesting in this one, I think the Infinity Trials that you can do after the game added a lot more to the replayability than I think 1 or 2 had. And then, hey, if you really like the game, they do have DLC. The X-Men and the Midnight Suns are kind of more like a character packs. They did add a Danger Room mode with the X-Men mode, and it's kind of like if you've ever played Grief in Call of Duty Zombies, it kind of feels like that. You're not fighting each other per se, but you're fighting the computer against each other just to do more competitive stuff. So it's like whoever can kill 5 bosses the fastest wins, stuff like that. It's pretty fun, and it adds a lot of replayability and things to do with your leveled characters than there already was, besides doing the Infinity Trials and 3-starring all of them. And then the real standout expansion is the Fantastic Four. This one takes place after the main story and includes a whole new story centered around Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four. And then the real cool part is if you beat it on the hard mode, you get to play as Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, if you play as Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, you can't build craft him anymore, just because all of his abilities are now the Infinity Stones. You know, you can do something with the Reality or the Mind Stone. It's pretty cool, and it's definitely a worthwhile reward for going through the entire story on the hardest difficulty, which you don't unlock until you beat it for the first time. Now, the real meat and potatoes of this game after you beat the story is the Infinity Trials, and these are just challenges that you have 3 stars to obtain in each of them, and then in each sector you get rewards for each different mission. So like if you get 21 stars here, you unlock a costume, and it's really nice to have stuff to unlock in the game rather than having to pay for it. Avengers, I really enjoyed that system a lot more than, say, paying for it, and I think it really goes a long way to wanting you to play the game if you can unlock all the fun things in the game. Now, I don't really know how well this game sold, but I am really crossing my fingers for a 4th Marvel Ultimate Alliance, this one not console exclusive, because I think there's a lot you can do with this game. And I mean, nowadays if it came out, it would probably be microtransaction to hell, but I'm hoping not, because there's a lot of things in this game that hold up today because you can play the entire game through and unlock everything just through playing the game. It's a lot to ask, I know. I would say this is just like comfort food. It's not a deep game. You're not going to be stressing out about builds, but it's just a fun game just to kick back and turn your brain off. If you're looking for a Marvel game that isn't a PvP thing right now, like Marvel Rivals, which is a great game, but sometimes you don't want to fight other people. And this game kind of offers that same vibe where it's just cool characters, cool designs, and they're all fun to play as. Is this game worth going back and playing today? Absolutely. Only if you can find it for a good price. Now, if you're going to play the Ultimate Alliance trilogy, or at least one of the games, this is probably the easiest one to get because it was not delisted. So you can probably still find it for a pretty good price, whereas Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, good luck trying to find those for a non-outrageous amount. I've seen people on the subreddit for these games willing to spend hundreds of dollars just to play 1 and 2. I'll say it's really worth playing if you have a few friends to bring over. If you just all want to get together and play a co-op Marvel game, the story's not really that long, so you can probably play it through in one sitting and have a really great time. But yeah, anyways, that's the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Like and subscribe.